Welcome to the Warsquared Fantasy Football Podcast, a full-service year-round podcast with weekly episodes to provide fans with info on their teams and players. Whether you're a newbie or a longtime veteran of the fantasy wars, Warsquared is the podcast for you. Welcome into the Warsquared Fantasy Football Podcast. I am Tom, sitting here with Doc and Producer Tobin. Super Wildcard Weekend is in the books. We're on to the divisional round, but we'll kind of recap a little bit. Injuries, coaching changes. What's going on, Doc?
Well, the Los Angeles Chargers lost their offensive coordinator today because he couldn't make any plays.
The whole offensive staff, by the way.
Yeah, I didn't see. I just saw the offensive coordinator. But the coach is apparently going to survive because the players stand behind him and want him.
The head coach.
Yep.
Right.
Which, by the way, she shouldn't.
Is that what the analytics told him?
Apparently, that's what the analytics told players.
Asking for a friend.
Tennessee hired a GM today. The assistant GM for San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
Arizona hired a GM, the former assistant GM and acting interim GM for the Tennessee Titans is now the GM at Arizona.
I'm not even going to try this guy's name. I don't know how to pronounce it. I can see it in my head, but I don't know how to pronounce it. Now, one big thing about that, he's with Arizona now. He was in New England when Brian Flores was there
3 years ago.
And so the connecting of the dots is maybe Brian Flores goes in there, who's totally, continues the opposite track that teams take. They go
totally needed to be head coach.
They go from offense to defense, from laissez-faire to disciplinarian, and that's exactly what they would be doing if they make this hire. Plus, it weakens Flores' lawsuit against the NFL.
That's probably not the main reason why they're hiring. Probably not even one of the reasons.
So do the Cardinals get a bonus check from the NFL for this hire then?
I'm guessing that's probably what's going to happen.
Plot thickens.
Yep. And one of the things that people are kind of excited about if Flores goes there won't be any, hey, Kyler, you're definitely studying more than 4 hours a week. If it's not 4 hours a day, I'm going to be, we've got a problem.
Yeah, I'm going to move in with you, Kyler, and you and I are going to study together till I say it's time.
Right.
Or better yet, we're going to clear out a storage closet, put a bed in there for you, dude. That's where you're sleeping during the season.
He's not very big. He didn't take up much room.
Yeah. I said a storage closet, not could be a mop closet at that point in time.
They've got plenty of room in that facility.
Other rumors going around. Sean Payton says, I wouldn't mind Houston.
So the other deal that they've already put out there that Sean Payton knows is the Saints' compensation for acquiring Sean Payton is a mid to a late first-round draft pick. So we've got it set up later in the show to really go over what the draft comp and who's where currently in draft order, so we can take a look at a couple of teams that might be interested there.
Yep. Injuries and stuff from this last game. The main headline we have here is DeMar Hamlin was not at the game on Sunday, but will be at the game this Sunday as an honorary captain on the field during the coin toss.
So that was, Tobin and I talked about this a little bit pre-show, and we were talking about how I was kind of shocked that he wasn't there for this game, but then one of the things Tobin popped up and said was they're saving it.
Oh, yeah, they were saving it for this week because they had last week one in their minds.
So ace up the sleeve. Yep. Bengals coming to town.
More emotional. Let's tug on those heartstrings and stuff, which, not a bad move.
Now, if I was them, I would have had him create a video message to play before the Wildcard Weekend and then put him on the 50-yard line in the divisional round.
Which is what they're going to do this week.
But,
they play the Bengals. Bengals had some offensive line injuries this week. Jonah Williams and Alex Kappa are week to week.
Yeah,
meaning we'll see what about this week.
So anytime you see week to week, you want to hear day to day. Day to day is basically they're going to play unless it's really extenuating.
Unless you're Mike Williams or Chase Daniels or Chase.
Well, that was just a flat out lie with Mike Williams. And
your guy from Washington who was day to day for since August.
Oh, Chase Young?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, but he didn't get. He got activated in week 11 or week 12.
He was day to day,
but didn't finally play until
week 17.
14 or 15, something like that.
Clearly, he's in the same training room as Brian Robinson was. How the hell does this guy come back from getting shot 4 times? And Chase Young just takes his sweet time.
An ACL.
Yeah.
I don't know, a gunshot wound. He'll, since it was not didn't damage your bone, didn't damage like that, it probably heals a lot faster.
I still don't understand how you get shot in the knee 4 times and it doesn't hit a bone, a ligament, or something.
Only one went through his knee.
Pure luck.
Yeah, one went through his knee and didn't hit ligament or bone.
The same reason why some
weirdest thing I've ever heard of.
I didn't know that was possible.
Yeah, neither did I, but the joint space there. I read an article one time. Some guy was in World War II, was jumping out of a paratrooper jumping over D-Day, got shot by a German on the ground. His life was saved because he had a tin flask in his jersey.
Prepared.
In his thing that saved his life on a 1 in a million shot, with the 1 in a million thing to save his life.
Did he lose? Did he lose the hooch?
Apparently.
Damn, poor guy.
Tough.
Would have been dead. So moving on to the games. First game was we have on the list is the 49ers, the Seahawks.
49ers 41, Seahawks 23, a 17-16 Seahawks halftime lead, which shocked me. The degenerate gambler part of me immediately went to the lines. Seattle was not favored going for the second half, but Geno finished 253-2, 28 on the ground. DK Metcalf went off. 10 for 136-2. They had no answer for him, which worries me about the 49ers going forward. Now, granted, he's huge.
Yeah, there's no big physical guy there,
but
on that side of the bracket now.
You don't have a 6'4" cornerback covering anybody in the NFL right now.
I mean, maybe in the championship game, A.J. Brown's similar-ish.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Absolutely. He is. And it was a teammate of DK's at Ole Miss. But so that would have, I would have some concern there. Also, I mean, remember, the ghost of A.J. Green had a 77-yard touchdown against him to start off the game in Week 18. We talked about pre-show a little bit. Ken Walker, 63-1 on the ground, 1 for 3 through the air. He was tearing it up in the first half, but then in the second half, they shut him down. And the real big thing that come out of this game was Brock Purdy has almost assuredly ended the Trey Lance experiment, going 332-3, a 2-point pass, 16 yards rushing with a touchdown.
With a high step on his first down run. I don't know if you saw his Dion-esque high step. That was pretty solid.
Like he was faking them out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was interesting.
He threw one of the TD passes to CMC, who had 119 on the ground, had a huge run, 68-yard, I think, or 66 or 68-yarder in the first quarter, I think it was, 2 for 17 and 1 through the air. Eli Mitchell only ran the ball 2 times for 2 yards, but then caught it 2 times for 5 yards and a touchdown.
That's the line. 2 yards, two carries, 2 yards, 5 catches, 1 yard for a touchdown.
Yeah.
So he gets 5, 6,
2 catches,
7.
5 yards.
More importantly, he checked the box where I had him scoring a touchdown in Degenerate World.
Okay.
That's right.
Degenerates win again.
And then the return of Debo. 32 yards rushing, 6 for 133 and a touchdown. But Ayuk and Kittle, key contributors on a couple of big plays. Kittle had the 2-point reception, but they did not go off this week. If Debo's back, this changes everything.
Oh, Debo's back. Debo's healthy. That the most versatile offense in the NFC.
Probably the NFL.
Well, I'm not sure I want to go that far with everything the Chiefs can do.
Yeah, I'm still going to say that I think the Niners are probably the most weapon-filled team there.
And my gosh, was there a better in-season trade than CMC?
No, I mean, every team in the bracket, other than maybe the Giants, should have been in the mix for him.
Yep. And you look at GM of the year, that move right there might get their GM the GM of the year.
Yeah.
Especially when Super Bowl. But key things here, Seahawks overachieved this year. Run cut short, but the future is bright in Seattle.
Yeah, everybody thought they crapped the bed when it was over when Russ left town.
Oh,
that's the amount of wins I thought they were going to have.
I had them, I think, at 3 or 4.
No, everybody. If somebody came in and told me they thought they were a playoff team, I'm going to need to see the tape on that.
Are you high?
No,
I'm going to need to see the tape or the bet ticket, one of the two.
But who are the 49ers playing, Tom?
Well, we'll actually go to Saturday night first, and we'll go Jaguars 31, Chargers 30. Mr. Spanos, Sean Payton on line one. He would like to come coach Justin Herbert, but apparently you're going to stick with Brandon Staley.
Staley progressed as a coach this year. He only made half the mistakes he made last year.
Okay, well, he played his starters last week and lost Mike Williams.
Brilliant.
And in the first half, they took advantage of the short field courtesy of 4 interceptions from Spicoli and took a 27-0 lead behind Justin Herbert's 273 and only 1 touchdown, 12 yards rushing.
At which point in time I texted you and said, good night.
Yep.
I thought it was Vinny Testaverde suited up for the Jags. I thought, is he colorblind or what's going on
he
here?
He was having some issues the first half, wasn't
bad.
he? But,
Well, the first one was a double tip.
Yeah.
and the second one was a pass interference.
So, I mean, it was kind of they just kept compounding mistakes. Now, Herbert's 1 touchdown went to Gerald Everett, who probably had the game of his career. I can't remember having a game better than this. 6 for 109 and a touchdown. Austin Eckler continues his touchdown parade, 35 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns, 2 for 8 through the air, which, as we've talked about, I went back and looked at his receiving stats. He was the number 23, actually the number 22 wide receiver in a 1 point per PPR league, finishing ahead of Cooper Kupp.
Oh, yeah, I don't doubt that for a second. That's what made him the RB1 was those receiving stats.
Oh, yeah. I mean, a monster season fantasy-wise, just receiving.
That didn't end that well for him.
Yeah, but then Trevor Lawrence comes, they get a touchdown.
Went into the old phone booth, came back out.
Yeah, so they get a touchdown to Evan Ingram right before the end of the half. Trevor Lawrence comes out, goes 288 and 4. So totally random. I don't know what you could have got on that parlay of 4 interceptions and 4 touchdowns, but it had been high. A 2-point rush. Evan Ingram 7 for 93 and a touchdown. So you're saying there's a chance. Starting in the third quarter, he hit Marvin Jones, who was 3 for 29-1. Then Zay Jones on what had to be a blown coverage because any of us could have thrown that ball to him comfortably, and it would have been a touchdown. He was 8 for 74-1. And then finally, Christian Kirk, 8 for 78-1. And then that's when, on the pass to Kirk, Joey Bosa lost his fool mind, and instead of running off the field and slamming his helmet down.
2 more steps to the right, Joey. 2 more steps to the right.
He slams his helmet down in anger on the field, gets a 15-yard penalty. That moves the extra point from the 2 to the 1, where Jacksonville then decides, hey, let's go for the win. All we need if we get this is a field goal to win. If not, then we got to get a touchdown. Whatever. Let's go for it. They go for it. And in something that they have to start accounting for with some of these big quarterbacks like Lawrence, Herbert.
They did
Allen.
later in the Baltimore game.
He's not big.
No, but they accounted for what he did.
He's not 6'5" or 6'6" like these guys. He jumps over and reaches the ball out. Because remember, this is the only place on the field where you can reach the ball out. And as long as it breaks that imaginary plane
Plays dead
of the goal line, it's over. It's touchdown. It doesn't matter what happens after that. As soon as it hits it, boom, plays over. That's what Spicoli did. He got the 2-pointer. And then all they needed was a field goal to win it. And guess what happens? They get down to 4th and 1. Peterson kills the play because he doesn't like the way that it's lined up. And they come out and he tells Etienne, if they're outside, run it inside. If they're inside, run it outside.
Great coaching.
Yeah, they come out in the full house backfield, 3 backs behind him. And they've got the push sneak. That's
what everybody assumed everybody was setting up for was the push sneak.
Yep.
And there have been 6 plays ran in the NFL out of 3-man backfield. The Jaguars have ran 3 of them.
And you could hear it plain as day on the parabolic mic. Kill. Snap that thing, and it was kitty bar the door.
And
Etienne gets the handoff.
Etienne gets the handoff, goes to the outside, and gets 30 yards, 25, 30 yards.
I got news. He's fast.
Ooh. Yeah,
It's just in.
Real fast.
He's Tommy having sex fast.
Woo! Shots fired.
Oh, no.
Shots fired.
No.
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
He's way faster than I was, though, back in the day. Way faster.
You have to put a stake in the ground to see if you were moving.
No,
Sundial.
no, but he would have ran way far away from me.
Coach,
That'd have been
Coach
like
said
me.
your problem was you run really fast. The problem is it's always in one place.
That was like
He
when
runs the 30 way, Etienne runs the 40, and Etienne still outruns him. Of course, I'm starting at the 15.
in gym class we lined up, and I lined up with Sylvester Cowens, who was our track guy, 6'3", and was amazingly fast. And he takes off, and I'm giving it everything I've got, and he just keeps moving right away from me. And I mean, it felt like it was 3 seconds when he broke the line versus me breaking the line.
Probably about right. Or more.
And it felt like 30 steps.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it was amazing. I was like, wow, that guy's really fast.
Or the other guy's really not.
Yeah.
No, he was really fast.
Or Tommy's.
See all of the above.
Yeah, probably a little bit of that.
Probably a little bit of both.
So the big news here, of course, remember, it was 27 points down. I think it was is it the fourth or the fifth largest comeback in NFL history? I can't remember which one.
I think it was the fourth, and I think it was it the third biggest
Third
in playoff history?
Fourth overall, yeah.
So
amazing changes.
Not a stat you want on your name if you're the Chargers.
no, I mean, the only surprising thing was that Matt Ryan wasn't involved.
Exactly.
Wow. Maybe he was calling the plays for the Chargers. Maybe he'll be their new OC.
That's a possibility. So moving on to the Sunday games.
Bills 34, Dolphins 31. I am shocked. This was 17-0 Bills until Josh Allen, who ended up 352 and 20 rushing, which was a shock because a bunch of the degenerates out there had it 35 plus, started turning the ball over. He got sacked 7 times, threw 2 interceptions, fumbled, and let the Finns and Skylar Thompson fumbled that was returned for a touchdown. Let the Finns and Skylar Thompson, who was 220 and 1 with a 2-point pass and 3 yards rushing, come back in this. Now, Tyreek was not normal Tyreek. He had 5 yards rushing, 7 for 69, and the 2-point reception. But Jeff Wilson and Mike Gesicki were the ones who accounted for the other non-defensive scores.
That's because Tyreek and Waddle couldn't hold on the ball.
Waddle definitely couldn't. There was a stat at one point he has 4 targets, 0 catches, 3 drops.
Well, that very first play, he was open going down the right towards the pylon, 5 yards clear. The only thing I can think of is that's right where the sun angle was on the field, because it happened a couple more times later in that same quadrant. But, oh, my God. I mean, that was if it wasn't a touchdown, it was a 60-yard game.
Going back to Tommy's kit, the drops alone would have accounted for over 100 yards receiving.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
At the point in time he dropped it, not the yards after the catch.
Yeah.
After he.
Yeah, Skylar Thompson got dropped out of having about 330.
Yeah. Skylar Thompson got dropped out of having a game that makes Miami go,
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know that they do that. I mean, they certainly circled the wagons around Tua, and a lot of Dolphins fans that I talked to said that if Tua would have been there, they would have won the game. Now, they might have, only because there was no weather in this game other than the sun.
Tua's arm's not as strong as Skylar Thompson's. There's no way Tua makes those throws.
Yeah, but some of those balls maybe aren't off or just where they miss it. You know, I mean, maybe it falls right in the breadbasket. I mean, Josh Allen had 2 of those. One of them was to Gabe Davis, 6 for 113 and 1. I don't remember what that was, a 60-yarder, 60-40-yarder.
Mm-hmm.
But you couldn't have ran down there and put it right here.
It was a handoff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing. That's 2 weeks in a row he's done that. One last week was to Diggs, this week was to Davis. Now Diggs, he was 7 for 114, and then Knox and Beasley got the receiving TDs. Now James Cook got the rushing TD for Buffalo, but he was outgained by Devin Singletary. I can't wait till next year when they just flat out can Singletary and Cook's the lead back there.
Now they can't Tobin.
Me either.
Now, this game should not have been this close. And Tobin kind of said there was a 13.5 point spread.
Yes.
I think last Wednesday before they ruled Tua out, it was 7.
It was 9.
9.
And
Okay.
it jumped to 13.5 instantly when Tua was ruled out.
Tua's in the game. So you can't say Tua. If the Tua's in the game, you can't say win it because the throws wouldn't have been there. He wouldn't have read the same coverages. The plays would have been called the same.
Well, part of me thinks that leave Tua on the sideline because his career may have been ended in that game. Eddie played again. But I think if McDaniel and their OC could have actually got the plays in, maybe before there's 10 seconds or less on the play clock multiple times, including 4th and 1 to end the damn game, they might have still pulled this game out.
Yeah. It was right there. It was right there for him. There were a bunch of those type of instances. And, of course, to me, that goes back to that's coaching.
Well, I mean, they burned all 3 of their timeouts in the second half early in that fourth quarter to avoid delay games.
Yep.
And then they get a delay game on 4th and a foot.
Right.
And now you're 4th and 6 and it's over.
What's the play call? What's it hard to get in? I don't know what QB sneak is.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or jet sweep is. I mean, one of those two, because that's all it's going to be. It's either Tyreek or it's him.
What we have here is a failure to communicate.
That's right. Speaking of communicate and a failure of execution, let's go to Giants 31, Vikings 24. Danny Dimes playing great. 301-2, 78 yards rushing, throwing it to receivers that literally no one else wanted. Isaiah Hodgins.
Who's he?
8 for 105-1. He was literally a practice squad guy. I don't remember which practice squad he was on, but the Giants picked him up off of it. Darius Slayton. This is the guy they tried to trade before the season started, and he was a distant third coming out of camp. He was 4 for 88. And then let's not forget Saquon Barkley, who looked like the biggest, fastest dude on the field, 53-2 and 5 for 56. The Vikings went as far as Captain Kirk could take them. He was 273-2, 1 rush for 1 yard. But Dalvin Cook 60 and 6 for 10. You're hearing and reading those right. 6 receptions for 10 yards.
It's because he had to check everything down, couldn't throw the ball long because they were literally putting the Patriot Dome over Justin Jefferson thing 15 yards down the field.
Oh, for sure. He was doubled everywhere. Now, JJ was 7 for 47. You also heard that right. 7 for 47 for arguably the top receiver in the game. And the Vikings just did not play like they did the first time against the Giants.
The Giants took everything they did the first game away from them 100%.
Well,
complete.
With the other than Hawkinson, they let him continue to go off. He was 10 for 129. He just didn't get the two touchdowns.
But everything was checked underneath to him and then going forward from there. Everything he had was 10 to 15 yards down the field. That's what they were playing for, nothing more than that.
Keep it in front, stay away from the big play.
But the person that really lost this game for them was the Vikings defense, not the Vikings offense. Captain Kirk did everything right.
They had a defense?
Even on the last play, he made the right call, checked the ball down where it was supposed to go because that was what. Number one, why is the coach giving that play where he knows the check down is going to go to that where he's going to throw it short of the sticks? Number two.
All right, you're talking about the play at the end of the game where they threw it to Hawkinson. So he wasn't supposed to throw it there. His problem is that he felt pressure, and instead of throwing it over the middle to KJ Osborne, who was wide open, he checked it down to Hawkinson just to get it out of his hands so he wouldn't be sacked.
So he has a chance to make a play down the field.
So this is the comment that I want to go back to is this is the problem with Kirk Cousins. And really what is becoming the problem with currently Tom Brady.
Footsteps.
It's coming. I got to get rid of it. And, of course, Tom Brady, he threw that first quarter interception in the end zone because he's like, I got to get rid of it. And instead of throwing it out of the end zone, he just kind of lofts it over there.
Yep.
You know, and it's the same thing with here. Cousins doesn't take the extra half second to throw it to the wide open guy.
Who was the best player in this game?
Boy, it's tough. It's tough between Saquon and Danny Dimes, but I'd probably have to go Danny Dimes.
Danny Dimes was called an elite franchise quarterback by his coach, Saquon Barkley, and the GM for the Giants.
Good. They got a decision to make.
I think the decision's been made for them.
Yeah.
Got in the playoffs and got to win. He's
Yep.
going to get a contract.
Oh, yeah, he is.
And he's going to get paid 40, 45 million a year over probably 7 years.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't take under 40 just so that they can also re-sign Saquon.
Well, they have enough. They should have enough cap space now that Galladay's off the line. Off the roster.
Yeah, when they cut him, it'll be a positive effect. But then Sunday night went to Bengals 24, Ravens 17. Tyler Huntley had the best game of the year for him, 226 and 254 on the ground. But J.K. Dobbins wasn't on the field on the final drive, and the Ravens were taking their sweet-ass time after the 2-minute warning. And the lack of time hurt them as they almost successfully converted a Hail Mary on 4th and 10.
Inches away.
It literally bounced off of the fingers of James Prochet after it got tipped in the end zone.
By Eli Apple, the bad apple of the defense.
Yep. The key play of the whole game happened before this drive when Huntley tried to go over the top, just like Spicoli did, but they had it set up to push him in.
He also went from the 2-yard line, not the 1-yard line.
True. But they had it. So I'm not sure what got lost in communication between trying to go over the top, which I think he thought that it was too clogged up, but he had a 300-pound Patrick Ricard getting ready to shove him. So I'm not sure why, the new play du jour in the NFL is this push of the quarterback in short yardage. But so why does he jump? When he jumps, he gets up in the air. He's held up in the air. Progress not stopped. They knock the ball out. And defensive lineman Sam Hubbard gets it and rumbles, bumbles, and stumbles at 96 yards.
At 17 miles an hour.
for a touchdown. I might have caught him.
I wouldn't have.
How did the block in the back not get called?
Because it really wasn't. He was.
Oh, it was.
He was stumbling going down already. He might
It
have.
was 100% a push in the back.
It was not the reason why he fell.
By definition, block in the back, they swallowed the whistle. There was a lot of that this weekend.
It's the same one that they had in New England on the New England punt return for a touchdown to beat the Jets. It's the exact same thing. It's one of those things like, ooh, are they going to call it? Nope. Okay. Ball game. Before that, the Bengals were pretty much controlled easily, except for Jamar Chase, who was 9 for 84 and 1. But that was Burrow's only passing touchdown. He was 209 and 1, had a 2-point pass, and then ran one in. But Mixon and Higgins were not effective at all in this game.
Not even close. Mixon especially. Mixon looked. They game planned to shut Mixon down.
Yes.
And they did.
Yep. They sure did.
But they moved on. That's the most important thing. Doesn't matter what the score is. As long as you move on, everything's good in this world.
Survive and advance.
Yeah. Now, they're going to be in trouble, in my opinion, when they get to Buffalo, but we'll cover that in a little bit. We'll get to Monday night. Play it.
Oh, wait.
Got to hear it a couple of times. And they deserve it with the game they played. I can't complain.
So I don't know if you guys heard this. You probably did. I watched the Peyton Eli. I don't watch Joe Buck and Troy Aikman, but this is the 30th anniversary of that sound clip. It was 30 years ago when the Cowboys went to Candlestick and beat the 49ers when they were not supposed to, and Jimmy Johnson dropped the "How about them Cowboys?" But other than the ass kicking the boys dropped on the GOAT, the biggest story was Brett Maher missing extra points on 4 of his 5 kicks, specifically the first 4.
He almost took the over, but he missed it the last second.
I still don't understand how you got to the third one and let him kick the third one and didn't go for 2, but whatever.
Or the 4th, or the 5th.
Yeah.
Got to reinstill the confidence for the 4th and the 5th.
The best one I saw last night was in the second half. Somebody spoofed a Jerry Jones tweet of, if you're in the stadium and you have kicking experience, come down to the sideline. We have a jersey for you.
That was good.
Now, Dak
was
Prescott
really good.
was peak Dak, 305 and 4, 24 and 1 on the ground, doing something that only 3 other quarterbacks have done. Did you guys see this last night? Matt Ryan, Aaron Rodgers, and I forgot the last one.
How many Super Bowl rings they have between them?
Well, Aaron's got one.
The other 2 probably have 0, like Dak.
I don't remember who the other one was. Oh God, I lost it. Now I have to look it up.
Babe Laughlin-Berger.
It's definitely not. And Most of the damage going to Dalton Schultz, 7 for 95 and 2. CD got the last touchdown on a walk-in, 4 for 68 and 1. I don't think there was anybody closer to him than the cameraman.
No, there wasn't.
And
Complete blown call.
one of the most amazing touchdowns I've ever seen was the defender tipped the ball to Gallup, who was out of bounds, but came back in. And then since it went through the defender's hands, he could touch it. It wasn't illegal touching, and it was called a touchdown.
Yep.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
I not to my knowledge of either. My main takeaway from this game is, did the Bucs look old?
Old and slow.
They look really. The only player in the field looked any type of explosive was your guy, wide receiver.
Chris Godwin.
The only one that looked
He
explosive
took a
at all.
damn beating. Did you see some of those close-ups of him?
He took.
He's the only guy who I really thought gave a damn.
Came to play. He came to play. He always does.
Yeah. He's a gamer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brady ended up somehow on 66 attempts, 2 short of the record, 351 and 2 with a 2-point pass. But the first Bucs TD came as time expired for the third quarter.
Yep. It was over with by halftime. And unlike the Chargers Jaguars game, you knew this one was done.
Oh yeah.
You still with Jaguars. You were going Chargers. You're going. Well, they scored at the end of the first half. There's a chance if they come out, they score. This one was over with. I watched maybe the first half quarter, then half of the second quarter, and I was done. There was nothing at that point in time that I found worth watching in the game whatsoever. Cowboys won. They moved on. As bad as they looked 2 weeks ago, they look that good this week. We'll see what the 49ers doing to them this coming weekend.
That's true. So on our picks, Doc went 3 for 3. Tobin and I both went 4 and 2. So we've got that going for us, which is nice. We'll jump out here real quick, and then we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit of draft stuff.
After you've listened to Warsquared and have your lineups locked in for the week, we invite you to go over and check out 3 Dogs and a Dude. It's a podcast inspired by 3 crazy rescue dogs and their dude who like having conversations with interesting people. You never know who might pop into the studio as a guest, and we guarantee some laughs. Check out 3 Dogs and a Dude wherever you get your podcasts. Indian Media Productions is your one-stop shop for all of your media creation needs. Whether it's producing a podcast like the one you're listening to, or maybe you just need some video for your social media and websites, sales and promotional videos, or even TV commercials, we've got you covered. Check us out at IndianMediaPro.com.
So we'll come back here. We'll kind of go over the draft order real quick. It's number 1, the Bears. Number 2, the Texans.
The Bears.
3 Cardinals, 4 Colts. Then it's where it starts to get interesting because 5 and 6 are Denver and the Rams picks, but those go to Seattle and Detroit.
Mm-hmm. Going to be an interesting draft. There's a lot of mock drafts out there right now. Most of the ones I've seen have Indianapolis trading up the number 1 pick, giving up number 4 this year, and number 1 next year, to 2nd and a 5th this year as well.
Yeah, I don't know what all they'll get for it. I'm
a bunch.
It depends kind of too. If somebody wants Justin Fields and is willing to give up enough capital for that, I think the Bears are in business for that too.
The 49ers will give you Trey Lance for him.
Yeah, that's not going to do anything.
Okay.
We'll take the 3 1s, but we don't want Trey Lance. He's a reclamation. He hasn't proved anything. One play Trey is what they've called him apparently in the locker room, is what I've heard. But
that's a tough name.
Ouch.
That's a tough name to overcome too. But it's going to be interesting. Number 5, Seattle. Seattle's going to obviously draft defense. That's what they need more than anything else. Most mocks I've seen there have been drafting the defensive lineman, either of Alabama or Georgia, whichever one falls there. The defensive end or the man mountain in the middle.
Yeah, we'll kind of see what happens there. I'm not sure who else Arizona would draft there.
Quarterback.
Yeah, maybe. But I mean, why draft a quarterback when you've got Kyler for 5 more years?
Oh, that's true. That's true.
I mean, you won't have him next year.
Number 7, Raiders. Number 8, Atlanta. Number 9, the Panthers. Number 10, Philadelphia from New Orleans. That's going to be a very interesting pick there.
I'm telling you, you watch this. You watch what Philadelphia is going to do. I anticipate them doing something just like they did last year. We're gonna get some sort of situation here where we've got Philadelphia making a move, trading for a player, doing something crazy that's unexpected.
They're going to trade it for a quarterback?
I don't think they're going to need a quarterback. I think they're probably good there.
Number 11 is Tennessee. Number 12, Houston from Cleveland.
Yeah, so now we've got Houston who's at 2 and Houston who's at 12.
And 12 going to New Orleans for Sean Payton.
It very well could. Or, the other thing that they could do here is, we talked about this. Houston needs to stockpile picks.
Yeah. Trade number 2 back. You pick up more picks.
Yeah. Philadelphia, if you're Houston, do you take 10 and whatever Philadelphia's finish is from 26 to
you
32?
Take 10 and 29.
31. Yeah. Do you take those 2 picks for the 2?
If you get something kicked in for next year, yes.
Well, like what, a third?
No, give me a first next year, and those 2 firsts.
You're not
we'll
getting
do
the
that.
first. You're not getting 3 1s for that.
I'm going
pick.
back to saying Trey Lance was traded for 3 1s.
Yeah, that's different. They're not coming up for a quarterback.
No, they're coming up to get the defensive lineman they need.
They're coming up to get the kid out of Alabama or the kid out of Georgia, whoever's left
and
over.
If you're Houston, you're going, we can mortgage this pick and literally change the DNA of our franchise.
But see, that's what I'm saying is that if they have 10 and they have 12 and they have the last one, that's when they draft at 10 and 12 or trade some more, and then.
But they're going to get more than that. The second pick of the draft, what's going to be available to them, they'll get a lot more than 2 first-round draft picks.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
There's no maybe about they're going to.
Yeah, I don't know.
Chicago's going to get a high first this year, a first next year, probably a second this year, and a second next year, and at least one more player.
Yeah, but the reason somebody's coming up to get Chicago's pick is to get the quarterback.
And what do you think they're coming to get number 2 for?
Well, if it's Philadelphia, it's for lineman.
Yeah, but they're going to give up. They had to give it just as much because they can get that for the quarterback. But willing to come up.
But I don't know.
It doesn't matter who gets drafted. They're still going to have to pay the price to get the quarterback there. Does that make sense?
The idea is there, but if it's Philadelphia, they're not coming up there for that. Or Detroit.
They're going to have to pay the same price to get that pick as somebody who's going to draft a quarterback, though.
Yeah, I don't know that they will, because I don't know that anybody else will. I don't think anybody else is paying that price.
Oh, I think that some teams will.
Okay.
Raiders might. They're going to have a new quarterback next year. His name's not going to be Tommy B.
No, they are going to. I don't know that they will have a different quarterback.
Carr's not going to be back.
Carr's not going to be back, but Stidham might.
He might, but they got to have somebody behind Stidham.
They do need to get somebody, but they're not going to mortgage
Carolina's
going to
come up and get a quarterback.
Now, the big thing that's going around today is what's the most logical landing spot for Tommy B?
Announcing on TV.
Shady Pines.
The thought is that the team that is closest right now
Carolina
is Carolina.
But he's going to end up, if Tommy B was smart, he would realize that Father Time has caught him and surpassed him. Time to take and go to the field and make the $35 million a year on the sideline so he can be a parent and do the normal parenting thing with his kids.
Yeah,
normal for everybody else but Tommy B.
It's too late for that. That ship has sailed. His kids are now teenagers. They're not there to want him there all the time now.
Yeah, but $35 million a year not getting hit versus $35 million a year taking an ass whipping.
If he doesn't keep playing, he'll never play again.
You're right. He's 45 years old. Father Time's caught him.
46 in August for training camp.
Father Time has caught him.
He just threw for 351 yards.
On 66 attempts.
I'll give you 66 attempts against air. I'm not sure you get 351 yards.
Give me his receivers, I can.
Against air? Okay.
You set the parameters. I just defined them.
As far as other things that I think are interesting here, you start looking down there towards the bottom of the top 20.
17, 18 look really interesting. What's going to take place with those 2 picks?
I agree.
Lions, they got everything but defense. And they got number 6 as well. They could come up and get that big defensive lineman in the middle.
They could.
And with the bookends, defensive ends, they've got him in the middle. That'd make the defensive secondary really good with that pass rush.
Right. Now really technically the first 24 picks are set, but one of those is voided because it's Miami's pick. They lost their pick because of the punishment for Stephen Ross and the
Tommy B break.
Tanking.
No, that was due to tampering, wasn't it?
Oh, that's right. It's the tampering
It's
one.
the tampering. The tanking has been defined as didn't take place.
Right. Don't talk about Tank Club.
And the rest of them are going to be, we're going to have 4 more of them determined this week, and the final two of the final 4 will be determined the week after that, and then the Super Bowl will determine the last ones. At that point in time, it's going to be a lot more interesting when we start talking about off-season trades and that type of stuff as we go along, which we both did a pretty good job last year talking about the idea of what took place.
Yeah, that's true. So let's jump over to a little bit of fantasy segment here. For those of you that are out there still in playoff leagues, we read off who our 4-week players were. Those aren't going to change. Our the QB for week 1 or 1 week in here this week, I start with Patrick Mahomes. I go to Jalen Hurts, then to Brock Purdy until otherwise proven wrong, Josh Allen and Joe Burrow.
I can't disagree with those. I think I'd have Josh Allen up in front of Jalen Hurts this time. I think I'd go Mahomes, Allen, Hurts, Burrow, Purdy.
I might even go Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, because I see that being a shootout.
That's going to be if the weather's good,
Maybe.
If the weather's good, I can see that being a shootout.
it's going to be fun to watch.
Could be. Maybe. I don't know, because I don't like 3/5 of that offensive line not playing for the Bengals.
And
Get it out quick.
Buffalo does have a good defensive line with lots of depth.
Calling for 33 degrees and just cloudy in Orchard Park.
That'll be a
Then it
perfect day.
Could be crazy.
Going to be a lot of shots fired.
For this week's running backs, CMC headlines the list. I'll put Joe Mixon on there. Jeff Wilson scored a touchdown against these guys, and Savon Ahmed was running all over them too. Joe Mixon and Samaje Perine are way better than both those dudes. And then I'll have Saquon Barkley, Miles Sanders, and James Cook. I'm putting Cook on here because Cook is similar in body style to J.K. Dobbins. And if J.K. Dobbins would have got 20 carries, I think he would have been way over 100.
Yep, you forgot Tony Pollard. I put Pollard on there rather than Cook.
I didn't forget Tony Pollard. Until last week. Was it last week? Or was it 2 weeks ago? Until Josh Jacobs, San Francisco had not given up more than 59 yards rushing to any running back, and they gave up 69.
Yeah, but Pollard looked fast. He looked good. He looked everything you want in a running back last night.
And the Buccaneers are not the 49ers.
I'm not saying they are, but he looked the part. He looked good.
If it was on turf in Dallas, I agree. Not on grass in Santa Clara.
Who you got at wide receiver?
A.J. Brown, Stephon Diggs, Jamar Chase, Debo Samuel, and Devonta Smith.
Can't really argue with those, except I'd put T. Higgins on there as well. Maybe T. Higgins rather than Devontae Williams.
I'd never put T. Higgins over Devonta Smith. Never. Not with this Philadelphia lineup. T. Higgins has great games, but he is more likely to put up a dud than Devonta Smith.
Yeah, he totally disappeared this last week.
Wings at O'Malley's, which one has the most yards?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Wow, you guys are high rollers.
You in?
Crap, wing. You seen the price of wings these days?
Oh yeah, it's outrageous.
Throw in some scrambled eggs too, or what?
Yeah,
Cheaper than eggs. Which came first, the chicken or the egg?
It's $20, yeah. At tight end, we're going with Kelsey, Kittle, Goddard, Knox, and Schultz.
Can't argue with those.
I mean, you could throw Hayden Hurst in there. I like Hayden Hurst. I can't like him over any of these
You
guys.
can take those top 5, though, and throw them out there and pick any one you want. I think they're going to be pretty much the same numbers this last week, except for Schultz. I think Schultz, for some reason, in the last few weeks has really come on and proven that he's the key part to the Cowboys.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, this last week, he was the reason why Cowboys dominated that game.
Yeah, he has been a monster. And I think it's because they can kind of scheme CD for most of the point off the radar where he's not open, or scheme the coverage to him where he's not over.
You look at that first touchdown that Schultz had where he was off on the right side. You got CD to the left. CD runs post corner on the left side, takes the safety out of the middle of the field with him. But I saw a breakdown of this, and you've got Schultz who really sold it running a 7 to the pylon, and he really gets that tilt with his body to sell that, so that safety starts cheating over there thinking they're throwing there. He flattens it out straight up the field, and God, it was like a parting of the seas.
It was unbelievable.
Moses should be his
But it
new
was
nickname.
all in scheme and him selling it. I mean, the tilt on his body was incredible to see. He sold that he was going to that pylon.
Yeah, that's a great call. I saw that too. That was amazing. And the only other thing I've got a concern about is Brown and Smith for the Eagles both started to go off when Goddard went out. I mean, they both
But now that
started
Goddard's
going off.
back,
But now
well,
he's back. I don't know if
The volume, they picked up that added volume and the targets.
Instead of having 3 people targeted, it was 2 people targeted.
Yeah.
Now the target factor's dropped some.
And I mean, let's be honest. Who's the bigger threat to blow the top off? Adams or Smith or Goddard?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
For sure.
keep it in front.
Oh, Goddard's
You're
the
going
bailout.
to do the 15-yard coverage. Just keep everything in front of you.
I mean, he's going to have a strong safety or linebacker every time.
Yep.
And he's going to win that a lot.
So the sleepers for this week, I put CeeDee Lamb on there. The 49ers are giving up big yardage to wide receivers. Brandon Ayuk, they might try to overcover Debo because he killed him in Dallas last year in that playoff game.
Mm-hmm.
Eli Mitchell, only because CMC gets a lot of breaks. I think that they're still at about 55 or 60% snap share for CMC. Gabe Davis shows up in the playoffs. I mean, he did last week.
Only in Kansas City. Come
He did
on.
last week.
He's not in Kansas City. That's going to kill them if they go neutral site.
Gonna kill who?
The Bills.
My
Gabe
gosh.
Davis.
That's true. And then Christian Kirk, because he did well against the Chiefs. He scored a touchdown against them in the previous game.
Yeah, I'd look. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say. I mean, I think that's just one of the guys that I look at of the Jaguar receivers. I think he is the one that will get the most advantageous matchup.
I think probably the players that are getting the least run this week, that are going to be the ones, if you look sleepers, the Jacksonville wide receivers, Etienne and Lawrence. Everybody, I read as I was driving to work this morning, there was somebody who rated the top 8 the quarterbacks left in the playoffs. They had Trevor Lawrence number 8 as far as the rankings go. That's awful disrespectful.
I mean, he's in year 2.
Yeah, they had Purdy ranked 6.
Yeah.
Dak was ranked 4.
He went for 330 and 2.
Yep.
3. I mean,
And a rushing.
I'd probably put him up there too.
If you're in a league where you can pick up people and you lost all your players last week, man, I would have been on the phone picking up all the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think that they're going to be surprisingly good offensively this week.
Oh, I think they'll be decent. I don't know about good. I mean, I don't think they replicate the same numbers that they had last week.
Okay. Moving on.
So we'll go to the non-bonus segment. We've got a little extra time here on the podcast this week because we didn't have a billion games.
We only got 4 games rather than 16.
That's right. So we'll go to Saturday afternoon. The first game, Jaguars at the Chiefs.
Tobin, who you taking?
You have to ask.
I know, but you got to ask just to be on the safe side. You can't assume anything.
Chiefs, I told you guys last week that I thought whoever came out of that LA, San Diego, I still call them San Diego Chargers. Sorry, LA.
So do I.
Jaguars game is going to be a tough out, but I'm going to take the Chiefs at home. The one concern for me is they are calling for rain potentially. So 40 degrees and rain at Arrowhead. I hope it's a little colder. I mean, Jacksonville's a little bit warmer, although it was 42 degrees at kickoff last week down there. So their fans were dying in Jacksonville.
Yeah, except for the guy in the
Guys
heated
in the
swim
heated
pool.
pool.
Well, I mean, if you got the swim up bar, I mean, you got to do what you got to
Jaguar,
do.
man, with the Speedo on.
But yeah, give me the Chiefs. I think they've just got too many weapons. And, Andy Reid, I think he's like 88% against guys off his coaching tree, including 4-0 in the playoffs. I don't think Peterson's going to be the first guy to beat him.
Okay, so who's going to be your bust?
Bust?
Or bust out, however you want to do it.
Give me Mahomes. I think he's going to be throwing darts all over the field. I think you're going to
the bust or the bust out.
He's going to be the bust out. You're going to see darts all over the field. I think you see some new things out of Kadarius Toney, the new toy in town. A little bit of speed kills, take the top off. Busted. Give me the Jags defense. I can see him giving up 35-40 in this one pretty easy.
Okay. Well, at Kansas City, in the rain, doesn't look good for Jacksonville, does it? One key stat. Trevor Lawrence has never lost on a Saturday.
And Patrick Mahomes is going to break another record this weekend.
Well, I'm going to take the Jags.
I love it.
Okay.
I think that Lawrence has got his bad game out of the season. He's going to come out and he's got 3 very good wide receivers, a very good tight end, and competent running backs.
Are you high?
Apparently, yes. I think the Jags are going to win in a very close game, probably overtime. My player of the game is going to be Lawrence. I think he's going to probably throw for over 300.
He's going to have to.
My bust player of the game is going to be the Kansas City defense because they can't stop Trevor Lawrence from throwing the ball around the field to his wide receivers and tight end. Something just tells me that the Jags, everybody's sleeping on the Jags, and they shouldn't be. Tom?
Okay. Well, I love that the Jags advanced to the second round. I couldn't be happier, and I couldn't love it more as a referendum on what a piece of crap Urban Meyer is.
I don't disagree.
I don't like their chances against the Chiefs here. Tobin said it about Doug Peterson is off Andy's coaching tree. I don't care. I love the Chiefs in this one. And Gerald Everett just ripped up the Jags. What do you think TK is going to do? I mean, he hasn't had a touchdown in like 5 weeks.
He's hungry.
I think he's going off. He's going to be my bust out.
So you're taking the Chiefs?
Yes, I'm taking the Chiefs. There's no chance I would ever take the Jaguars here. Not in this scenario.
And it's not because I hate the Chiefs. I'm taking them. I think Jacksonville, much like Burrow last year, Lawrence comes of age and becomes a true NFL franchise quarterback in this game.
So it's 27-10 till about 5 or 6 minutes left in the fourth when the Jaguars got their final touchdown to Christian Kirk to make it 27-17 back, I think, in week 11. So, I mean, I think ETN can hurt the Chiefs, especially on the edge.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe Lawrence gets 250 and 2, and the last one's probably coming in late in the fourth. My busted is going to be, give me Zay Jones.
Okay. Next game on the list is the Giants at the Eagles.
Saturday night's all right for fighting in Philly.
Go for it. Tell us who you're taking.
Oh, I'm taking the Eagles. This is not even close. This is another rematch. The last 2 of the last 3 third times have been losses by the team that won the first 2. But the last time they played, they faced Davis Webb and a 75%-ish Jalen Hurts. I'm guessing he's a lot closer to 100%, and they're going to come out hammer down. Remember, the first game, it was 48-22 Eagles, and it was a smoke. I expect a repeat. Give me Jalen Hurts as my bust out. I really want A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith, but I'm going to go with Jalen. They're all going to roll. Danny Dimes is just going to be okay, and Saquon is going to be held in check. Saquon's going to be my bust.
Okay. Tobin.
I got to go with the Eagles here. I'm assuming that Hurts is closer to 100% this time around. I think even at 90%, he's the difference maker in this game.
They averaged 4 sacks per game. The Eagles did. They're going to hammer him.
Yeah. Give me Hurts for the bust out. I again think it's going to be a distributor type game. I think he's got so many weapons. You're going to see him move that ball around all over the field, and they're just going to play keep away and run it up. Busted. Give me Danny Dimes. I think he's going to suffer a few sacks in this one. I think he's prone to I think the turnover bug's coming back. I look for a couple picks here.
One other key stat. Last week in Minnesota, he faced the number 30 ranked pass defense. This week, he'll be facing the number 1 ranked pass defense.
Okay, well, I taking the Eagles. I think the Eagles are on a collision course for the 49ers in 2 weeks. Don't see anything in this game that's going to stop that from taking place. Hurts is going to be the bust out player of the game. I got Barkley as the busted because they're going to take him away. They're going to crowd the box. They're going to make somebody else beat you besides Barkley. And with that wide receiver core, the Giants just can't do it. I think Danny Dimes has a decent game. Danny Dimes probably rushes for 70 yards.
Running for his life.
Exactly. But the Eagles are just too much. They're too talented. They're too physical. They're too everything at this point in time. Okay, the next game on the list is the Bengals at the Bears, and I get to go first. The Bills, I'm sorry. Wonder who I'm taking.
I know who he's taking. He's taking the Bengals.
You read my notes.
Yeah, you have him in our playoff or Super Bowl pick. You have to take him.
Exactly. I'm taking the Bengals to win the game. I think the bust out player is going to be Burrows as Burrow throws for 300 yards because they're going to load the box and take Mixon away. They're going to make them beat them down the field. The Bills have a very good defensive secondary. Tre'Davious White can take either Higgins or Chase away. Probably Higgins, if I had to choose one of the two, he'd be matched to get, because Chase, he doesn't have the speed to stay with Chase where he does with Higgins. The size matches that point in time. I think the busted players of the week is going to be the Buffalo's defense, just because Burrows is going to throw the ball over the field because he has more talent at wide receiver than they do in the defensive backfield. Tobin, who are you taking?
Well, I too have the striped felines from Cincinnati in this one. Yeah, I know.
Striped felines.
The striped felines.
You stay all night thinking that one out?
I don't even want to know. Give me the Bengals. I think Mixon's the difference maker in this one. Out of the backfield, I think he's going to present problems, and the Bills still struggle to stop the run. So I think they're going to get exposed there. The part that scares me a little is the mash unit that is the Bengals O-line, but I think they're going to be able to mix that up just enough to keep them off balance, make that pass rush, keep them honest. If they can get out to a little bit of a lead, look out. It's going to be tough on the Bills. My bust out's Mixon. My busted, I'm going to go with Josh Allen. I think the turnover bug is gonna bite him again. It might not be 3 this week, but that one key turnover, and you get in a game of this magnitude with this kind of offense on both sides, that one mistake ends your season.
Yeah.
Okay. Tom, who are you taking?
Well, I'm going with the Bills. I'm expecting DeMar Hamlin in the house. I'm expecting the Bills to pull it out with the home field advantage. Should be the highest scoring game of the weekend. The Bengals had a good game plan that was working against the Bills in the game in Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting to see if they go right back to it and re-implement it. I'm not sure that Mixon gets back on track here, but as you said, Chase is uncoverable. They're going to bracket him. They're going to do kind of like what I think the Giants did to JJ. Is we're going to try to double him on every play and make you go to Higgins, who will be singled up.
I can taste those wings now.
So I'm going with the Bills. My bust out's going to be Stephon Diggs. He didn't have a touchdown last week. They missed him by maybe 2 feet on what would have been about a 70-yarder. So I think he gets that this week. The deep shots to Diggs and Davis work so often. I'm going to go ahead and take T. Higgins as my busted player.
Okay. Last game of the week. Cowboys to 49ers. Tobin?
Give me the Niners in this one. As much as I'd love to pick the Cowboys.
Nothing like taking all the favorites, is there? Actually, you did. You took three favorites and one dog.
Yeah. And I've got the Niners in a Super Bowl, so obviously I'm taking the Niners.
Yep.
I just think they have too many weapons for Dallas. That defense is going to put pressure on Dak. And they're going to have to, because if they give Dak time, they're going to get picked apart on the back end. But I don't think the Cowboys can stop the Niners offense, even with their third string Brock Purdy. I mean, he's proven it's probably been beneficial for the Niners that he got in there when he did, because he's been able to build up and get
The playbook
more
keeps
of the
getting-
playbook. Yes,
They keep adding pages every week.
exactly. And they're getting the weapons back. They've got Debo back. I mean, how do you guard that? I mean, you've got
You
Debo,
don't.
you've got Ayuk, you've got Kittle, you've got CMC, you've got Mitchell. I mean, it just keeps going.
Just one mistake is all it takes.
And Dallas is known for giving up the big plays here and there. So,
So who's your bust out?
my bust out, I'm going to go CMC. I don't know if it's going to be on the ground, but I think he's the equalizer in the screen game against that pass rush that Dallas wants to bring. And so I think he, for a little dude, he runs the ball between the tackles better than anybody in the game right now. So I think between the screen and draw game, I think you're going to see him bust one, and maybe see if he gets over 20.8 miles an hour, I think is what he ran on that 68-yard run last week.
20.5.
It was pretty damn fast, whatever it was.
He looked fast.
Yes. They're saying he's nicked up and dinged, and I'd love to run 20 miles an hour. I couldn't run that straight down a hill. I could fall off Everest and not do that. So, busted. Give me Dak.
Okay.
I think the pressure is going to be too much for him. He's going to give it up a couple times, and that's going to be the end of it.
And Tom, who you got?
Well, I don't like the Cowboys to win this at all. I like them to be competitive. We talked about it earlier. I love wide receivers against the 49ers. They're not going to do it with a run game. I'll go ahead and bust Zeke and or Pollard. If I can bust two of them, I'll do them both. I don't think they're going to get anything
I'll
done
put
on the
running
ground.
back Dallas for you.
I'm taking the 49ers to win this. My bust out, I'm going with Debo. I want Diggs to try to cover Debo, because if he makes a
he can't.
mistake, Debo's going to house it.
Debo's going to posterize him, and Diggs will make a mistake. Are you done?
Only one?
Exactly.
The only other thing I'd say here is we're not going to get a Dak game like we got last week. They should have saved that one
For this
because they
week.
needed it this week.
Yep. I've got the 49ers winning. What's funny is we all agreed the 49ers and the Eagles. They're the two games that we all agree on that's going to be going for this week. I think the physicality and just the we're going to line up and we're just bigger and stronger than you. And they're just going to physically overpower the Cowboys. Might be an ugly first half. Might be 6-7, maybe 10-7 at halftime. But fourth quarter is going to be in the 30s for the 49ers and the teens for the Cowboys. My bust-out player is going to be CMC. He's just too talented. I mean, he everything he does, he's always been one of these players that he's the best player in fantasy football if he's healthy. He's healthy. He's catching the ball in the backfield. He's picking the blocks. He's doing everything he has to do to be productive on the field. And he's the main reason why the 49ers are in this position. My busted player of the week is going to be Dak. Like you said, they wasted his good game last week. Should have saved it a week. Because he's going to be running for his life with that pass rush. He's going to make at least one mistake, more than likely 2 or 3.
Yeah, one of the things that I think you've kind of got to look at is also that they're scheming so much for Christian McCaffrey that he is totally benefiting from the Shanna-Clan offense.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's custom made for that offense.
Yeah, it's just a.
Remember back when his dad was coaching at the Redskins and they traded for Portis?
Yeah.
And Portis just went off and became this absolute stud running back?
Right.
Because he was the perfect running back for that position. McCaffrey's bigger.
So
McCaffrey's faster.
So I just wanted to check this out. I mean, really, since he got to the 49ers, he's probably averaged about 74% of the touches, which is exactly what he had in the playoff game against Seattle.
Yep.
If he has 74% of the touches against Dallas, he's going for 20 fantasy points.
He's easily, he'll have 20 fantasy points by the end of the third quarter probably. And with that, we're out of here for another week.
That's right. End of the show. No bonus segment this week, guys. So we'll check you all later.